Hey everyone, Darren Carnell here. Welcome to part 21 of the Man with No Name painting tutorial, exclusive to Patreon. Now, in the last video we were working on the neck, and I had done one side of the bit you can't see with my beard, the bit where the hair comes down onto his neck. I had done the first layer of that on one side, and I was going to do off camera the other side, and then we were going to come back and carry on. I did that. I want to show you something. I'm going to bring the camera around, and we're actually going to jump a bit to do something different today. We're going to do his eyes today, or we're going to start his eyes. But if I can jump to the desk cam, whoa, flickery, hang on. I turn my fluorescent light off and back on, still flickering. Give me 1 second. Why are you doing that? Okay, camera 2, reset. Thank you. No clue why it was doing that. Okay. Right, so I want to show you, let's get this roughly in the right place. So I did that where I was going to do the same on the other side. I did that. After I'd done it, I realized that I could see a better way to get the result that I wanted. So what I did, if I can, where are we? I went over what I had already done, or what we did in the last video, and what I had done in between videos. I went over that with various mixes of largely skin colour, but with some browns in there and stuff. And it was a mix of, it might work better if I turn it upside down so you're not getting the reflection. It was a combination of dry brushing and thin washes and dabbing bits on to get the right look that I wanted. But I wanted to get an almost stubble look of a gentle transition of shade from the dark into the skin colour, onto which I'm going to go back in with the dark colour and paint the hairs on top, and that will give me a better effect than the way I'd done it. So I will do that at some point in the future. It will be essentially the same as what we did in the last video, where we were just painting loads and loads and loads of tiny little hairs to build up the shape. It's going to be that, but it's going to be the dark colour on top of this blend, and that's going to give me the effect. I will do that off camera because you have just watched me do the same thing for an hour last time, and you don't need to watch that again. I just realised that having this, which is the basis, it's everything that we did in the last video, is still there. It's just been blended over and pushed into the background, and doing that, having that behind another layer of the individual hairs, will give me the effect that I want. And sometimes this happens. Grab my coffee a sec. Sometimes you'll be painting something, and while you are doing it, or after you've done it, you will realise a better way to do something, or you'll think, oh, I know what I want that to look like. And that's fine. It's better to change than to leave it thinking, oh, if I'd only done that, would it have looked better? Do it. Because if it's right, you'll end up with a better paint job. If it's not, go back and do it the way you first did it. There's nothing you can't undo doing this. Even if you messed up the whole thing, the worst you can do is start again. It might be a pain in the backside, but it's not the end of the world. So that will happen sometimes. It happens to me, and it just happened with that. So what I'm going to do to give you guys a break, because you don't need to see me doing that again. Well, first what I'm going to do is have a sip of coffee because I'm very thirsty, and I've been talking a lot doing these videos. I've been filming a bunch of different heads for various Patreon tutorials that are coming up. And I've also just been painting lots and working at weekends, and I'm tired, so I'm drinking lots of coffee. So give me 1 second. Oh, okay. So instead of doing that again, because that's what we did in the last video, I will do that off camera. But what we're going to do now, I think we do his eyes. Or we start his eyes, because I never get eyes finished in 1 hour. What we will do, it's the same way I always paint eyes. We'll put a dark grey circle for the irises. We'll start off with a thin, watered down, lighter version, and then we will build it up once we're happy we've got it in the right place. And then we will do the background colour of the iris, and we'll build up the different. We'll work from some photos. I've got some decent photos of his eye colour, sort of a greeny brown. And we'll build up the colours and the patterns, and hopefully I will have some pictures somewhere that show the colour of his eyes, but not just the colour, because a lot of people and I used to just paint, oh, he's got greeny brown eyes, so they just sort of painted greeny brown on it. I want the shape and the colour and the pattern of the irises to match Clint Eastwood, or the character if they were wearing contact lenses. So I will work from the character pictures to get the shape and everything, and I will work from Clint Eastwood pictures, because you usually get clearer pictures of the actor, to get the shape and colour positioning of his eyes, the actual iris pattern, and we will do that. Okay, so that's what I was going to do. I just wanted to check the dark grey that I had. Still usable, but it's starting to get a little bit thick now, because it's a little bit old, and I just wanted to see if I had another. Hooray, I do. So that one can be thrown away. Just because I've had that other one for a while and it's starting to get a bit thick, and it's fine because it always gets thinned down anyway, but it's just starting to get to the stage now where it's a bit of a pain, and it comes out of the tub, the pot, really quite thick, and it's like, oh, I want to go to some better stuff now. And I usually swap over colours more regularly if they are things that I use for more subtle, like skin details and stuff like that. With things like the dark grey that just gets used for the back of the irises, it doesn't really matter whether it's a brand new fresh pot of paint or old paint that's getting quite thick and been watered down. It's just dark grey. But I wanted to change it if I had one, and I am pleased to report I did. Okay. Right. Right, okay, so I get an old brush. Have I got that music on too loud? No, it's okay. That's fine, you can hear me. So I'm just going to get some dark grey. I will put it, I don't know, let's put it there. Oh, sorry, you can't see. I've got to realise where the thing is. So I might pull that camera a bit closer towards me, but it'll do for now. So dark grey, get some thinner, bit of water. That's going to be really, really thin, but it's okay for a first layer, because we're just finding the position of his eyes now. Now then, let's see. If I'm holding this here, I've got to figure out the positioning of the camera. If I move him? Camera is apparently male now. If I move the camera a bit, I just want to see where I can see. Ooh, bit of dust. See what I'm doing, but also with you guys able to see as well. Doesn't help that eyes like this, they're in so much shadow because because of the sculpt, the way the eyebrow comes out and over, and the light is a little bit in that direction up there, so it casts these shadows, which makes it more awkward to see. And when I'm working by myself, when I'm not talking to you, I will tilt the thing down like that, and you can see there's no shadows there, and I will just, excuse me 1 second, I will just lean over and look at it. But I can't really do that because you end up getting giant moustache in the view. But if I can do it, trying to figure out a way that I can do this without giving you a decent shot, but also giving me enough let's see, if I turn the camera a little bit to the left, no, my hand's getting in the way there. I know. Okay, so let's move the whole rig over there. And then what I can do is I can look at it myself and how I need it, and then bring it back up and let you see. Yeah, that might work. So let me get the focus where I think it needs to be. Actually, I might be able to do it like that. If I sort of sit sideways a little bit towards my desk, then I'm getting more light under the eyebrows to the thing. As long as I remember to hold it in front of the camera. My glasses keeps hitting the camera, but okay, let's try that. So let me get the focus back a bit. Okay, that's about right. So I've just got to remember where to lean, because I'm leaning my elbow just off the desk. And I've got to try and keep this at the same height under the camera. Okay. So we just mixed the grey. This brush might be a bit big for what I want to do, actually. Let's try. Okay, so I've got a bunch of pictures. His eyes are essentially in the middle, and he's not looking down, but he's not looking up, so he's pretty much looking straight ahead. Okay, let's try it. Let's see. So what I normally do is I put a dot. Actually, could do with more paint in this. Let me get some more grey mixed into that. So when I'm painting eyes, I normally put a dot in the middle for me to see roughly where his pupil is going to be, and then that's going to be the center of the iris. So just on a couple there, and it gets adjusted, so it doesn't matter if you're slightly off, and this is why I work with thin layers and build up the iris until I'm completely happy with it. So give me 1 second. I just want to looking at different pictures. Most of the good pictures, unfortunately, he's looking one way or another, and he's not sort of looking straight on the way you want him. And the pictures that are you know, where he's looking where you want, they're always tiny stupid little pictures. Okay, I've just adjusted the brightness on one of them, so that'll help. Let me just look at this a second. Just moving the head away from the light so I can see where he's looking. So that goes there and that goes there. Okay. So let's try. Roughly right? Okay. So I think this one can be a little bit further to the left. And that one can be a little bit further to the right. So just put dots there, and then what we do is we build up around that circle where you think you've put it in the right place, and you build up a circle, and then you make it a bit bigger, and you make it a bit bigger, and you build it up until you are happy with the size and shape of an iris. We're just slowly building up. It might be a little bit awkward doing this one, especially on this eye, because the bottom edge of the eyelid, the way it's been sculpted, sort of goes down towards the eyeball instead of being a proper edge, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so I'll do the same on the other side. I'll turn sideways a little bit. Oops. Knock the camera with my glasses again. Where are we? There. Oh, it's awkward. So just building it up. Yeah, I think I do need a bigger, a smaller brush. What I'm going to do for now is just get that first layer down. Sorry, I was just doing that off camera there to make it a little bit easier. So you can see it's light grey, but we're getting the position in place. Now what I'm going to do, if you can give me 1 second, is clean this brush off, because these are new brushes and I don't want to ruin them. And then I'm going to grab a tiny brush. Let's find which one. Let's try that one. Haven't used that one before, so let's give it a go. Let's get some of the water off my hand. Right. Let's see. So that brush is definitely easier to get in there. Get some more of the grey. And go back on this side and put a layer, another layer of the same grey on top of the first layer and make it a little bit darker, and keep checking the position. Now it is difficult with him looking, when you're being so squinty, you have to keep holding it in different lights so you can see what you're doing properly. Okay, so on this side I want to bring the left side of the iris a bit further over. Ooh, a lot of liquid there. Hang on. Wipe the brush off and then let the dry brush suck some of that fluid back up. And I want to make the other side a bit more, have a bit more of a curve. Ugh, trying to do it on camera is difficult because I'm painting this off to the side, which makes it very difficult, which is why I keep on pulling it away to look at it myself how I would when I'm painting something without the camera, because all of these pieces that I do, that I work on for the tutorials, I like to show you guys as much as I can, but ultimately these are commissions that I've been paid for, so they've got to be right. So slowly getting that in place. So I'm just having another look at it, looking back at the pictures. So it's always forward and back. Look at the pictures, look at what you've painted, look at the pictures, and you just go forward and back until you got it right. Okay, so God, it really is in shadow. Okay, so a bit more over to the other side. It's a very slow and boring process, especially for people watching on video. Because some bits when you're doing it, you can do like a big dramatic thing and you get loads of changes and it's exciting, and some bits are tiny adjustments and they're very boring for people to watch, and this is one of the boring bits. Where's the focus? About there. Because this is super difficult, because not only am I not looking at the eye straight on, I've got it really twisted sideways and held out of the way. I'm holding my arm at a weird angle and I'm just not looking at it at all. I really need to be looking at this straight on. So I sort of try and show you as much as I can, and then do some changes in a way that I can see, and then show you some more. Slowly building it up, slowly getting the sizes right. And these eyes are more difficult than usual as well, because they're very squinty, hard to get to. If I'm honest, the eyeballs aren't perfect circles or perfect spheres, so that makes it a bit more difficult. But we'll get there. Just makes it a little bit slower to do on camera because there's a lot of adjusting to get the thing how you want it. Let me just look at this from a different angle. Turn it upside down, sometimes useful. The thing is, with eyes like this, you could probably paint them wonky and no one would really know because they're sort of hidden. But I can't do that, that's not me. I have noticed there's a tiny microscopic hair sticking out the front of this brush, which is getting in my way, so I'm just gonna give it a gentle. Where's the focus? Probably can't even see it, but right at the point there's just like one extra hair that's sticking out that shouldn't be there. There you go. Whoops. Tried to put my scissors back in my desk thing and I missed. Okay. Let's knock the focus back so I can hold him a little bit further away and see what we can see. See, because he's going to be in shadow most of the time, it looks okay, but I do want it to be right. I want it to look like if he opened his eyes, you know, like if he looked surprised and opened his eyes wide, his eyeballs would be in the right place. Now, when I'm doing stuff like this, it would be more interesting for you guys if I had interesting stories to tell. The problem is, when I'm focusing on things, when I'm painting, and there's really not much more that that takes all of my focus than painting eyeballs. I can't really think of stuff to talk about because I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time, and it ends up I'm not doing either of them very well, so I sort of end up talking when I'm not physically painting, but then if I'm at a bit where I really need to concentrate, I sort of just shut up. I can't do anything about it. So I know it looks like I'm holding up the back of his head to the other, the Darren cam, but I'm holding it at a way that the light is getting up under his eyebrows, so I'm able to see the position of his eyes a bit better. Sort of the way that's lit up like that, instead of being all in shadow, it's more like that, but in a way that I can look at them straight ahead and see exactly where they are, and then try and figure out, okay, what needs to be adjusted to make them right. We are getting there. Ooh, very close. Very close. Closer and closer. Ooh, yeah, that's starting to look good. Now what I'm doing, which happens sometimes, is I need to adjust where I've put the shape on you, the position of the eye. I need to adjust it a little bit the other way. So I'm just getting some pale flesh, because that's sort of eyeball colour. Now it's a little bit lighter because we had some grey mixed in with it, but it's watered down, so it's not that thick. Oops, a bit too watery. And all we'll do is fix the position, and when we've got it right, we just go back in with a grey wash and make the colour of the eyeball the right colour again. Now I'm very aware that I'm not really showing you much painting at the moment, and I normally do. Even when I'm doing eyes, I'm trying to show you sort of as much as I can in between, but these eyes are so flipping difficult because the gap where you get your brush in is so tiny, and the shape of the eyeballs and the eyelids themselves are quite difficult to work with. So I sort of need to just stare at the thing as clear and, you know, easily in the best way that I need to. Unfortunately, that's not on camera. Getting closer. I know I keep saying that. Oh, excuse me. A sort of hiccup burp thing. This bit can be so difficult, and as a result, so boring for you lot. See, probably every time I hold this onto the camera you're like, damn, it looks exactly the same. I know it probably does, but it's not. I do believe we are almost there. Because what's really difficult about it is because you're not getting to see most of the eyeball, and because he's squinting, and because the shape of the sculpt itself is slightly uneven on the eyeballs, it's not a perfect sphere, the surface that I'm working with. And just because it's awkward to get to, what that means is when you're looking at it, it makes it difficult to see, do I need to move the irises up or down, or make them bigger or smaller? Some eyes you can just paint them on and you can tell instantly when you've got it right. And some, like this, are just really difficult. Now I could do it half right and it would be okay. I don't want to do it half right. It's not. People don't pay me to do it half right, which means that sometimes I end up spending, well, before these videos, hours and hours and hours trying to get something right, because that's what I get paid for. And when you're trying to do it on a video and not send people to sleep, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Too much liquid. Ooh, so close. Oh my goodness, we're so close. I think when I post this video I will put a disclaimer at the front. This video is very boring, not much happens. You don't get to see much happen. And it's difficult because I can't even the way I need to get into that bit of eyeball is so difficult. I need to sort of do it at a weird angle, and there's no real way I can do it up here in a way that I can get to it and show you what I'm doing, because I can't doing that. I can't see what I'm doing then because it's underneath the camera. I need it to be underneath my eyes. It's so frustrating because I want to show you everything. I think we just have to accept that some things I can't show live, especially on certain sculpts where the maybe a difficult sculpt or a difficult part of a sculpt. Some things you can't get to, and the commission, the end result coming out well is more important. And this is one of those things. Oh, that's almost perfect. And it's difficult to tell because we're going to change the shape of the eyes a bit when we paint the sort of pinky colour that goes around the edge of an eye and all those details, and the coloured part of the iris. Oh, it's done that light thing again. It's when things get too close to the light and then into the webcam. It doesn't like that. So sometimes you do a thing and you think, yep, that's it, got it, and then you paint something else later on and you go, oh no, it's not, I've got to change it. But that is okay, because it is just all about getting the end result. Super, 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 almost there. I think it would be astonishing if any of you are still awake after this. I just need to check him with his hat to see how it looks. Okay, you know what? That is, I think, close enough for now, because it's so difficult to tell with the shape of these eyeballs what I'm going to do, because every time I look at it they look different. See there, that looks wrong. When I hold it up under the light a different way, it looks better. So what I'm going to do is start painting the coloured part of the iris, and as I build up more, and also around the eye, so the eyelashes, the coloured part of the skin between the the skin and the eyeball, put some colour on the eyeball itself, so some red in the corner, sort of slightly yellow tint the eyeballs, do all of that. And as we start building up more of that, and also get the colour of the eyeballs back to being more shadowy grey as they were. And I think the more we do that, the better idea we'll have how they look. See, when they're like that, they're great. And that's how most people will see them, because the light will pretty much always be coming from above them. But I don't get paid to half paint things, so God, these are awkward eyes. It's a double whammy of being really difficult to get to, just because of the fact that they're very squinty and how deep set they are between behind his frowny eyebrows, the deliberate stuff, and the fact that the eyeballs aren't perfect spheres, which the not deliberate stuff, which makes it difficult to paint something in what you think is the right position and it looks wrong because the eyeball isn't the right shape. And it's a thing that I've come across on all kinds of sculpts, professional ones as well. Ones that come from this brush is keeping water inside here and it's slowly dripping out. No matter how many times I dry it, more water's coming out. So yeah, I've had to try and deal with wonky, uneven, non-spherical eyeballs on homemade sculpts that people have done, or garage kit type sculpts, where it's one that is produced for people but isn't by someone like Hot Toys or stuff, or people like, or companies like Sideshow. In their early years, some of their eyeballs were well wonky, and I've just had to deal with it. So let me put this back. Hello again. Right, so that was an hour of very, very, very little happening, and if any of you are not in a coma, I would be amazed. But it's how it goes. It's why I end up spending like a week painting most things, or in case of statues, weeks and weeks, because a lot of it is a case of do a bit, adjust it, do a bit, adjust it until you get it right, especially on less than ideal faces. If you're working on a character where he's looking straight ahead and his eyes are wide open and he's got perfectly, you know, spherical eyes and everything is, and you can get to it, and he hasn't got big frowny eyebrows, so you can get to the eyes really easily. You can just sort of go and do it, and it's a lot easier and a lot quicker. You can still mess up, and believe me, I do many times, but sometimes everything is just difficult, and hello, that's this. But it will look great. So what I will do between videos, I will do it before the next video. I will go away, I will come back and look at it with fresh eyes, and I will see if there's anything that needs doing. If there's anything that needs adjusting again, I will do that off camera so you're not being bored. And when we come back, we will start painting the colour of the iris, and we'll get onto the exciting stuff. Well, exciting if you're me, if that kind of stuff interests you. But we'll get on with the colours of the iris, and you know, that kind of stuff is where you do stuff and you see results, as opposed to that last hour, which was not much happening but a lot happening, if that makes sense. Okay, so I will go so you're not being bored anymore. Thanks for sticking around, if you did. If you've all buggered off, bye, I don't blame you. I will see you in the next video. Look after yourselves, be nice to other people. We will come back and do more stuff next time. You'll see colour, you'll see things going on. It'll still be difficult because they are squinty eyes, so there's a very small area. It's not like when I've painted David Tennant, Doctor Who, and he's got big wide open eyes and it's dead dramatic and you can see his eyes and you get to paint the whole iris. Here it's like the iris through a letterbox. You're seeing just a little tiny bit of it from behind. So there's the letterbox, there's the iris behind it, you just get to see a little tiny bit of it, and it's awkward and difficult and not the most visually interesting because you can hardly see anything, but it's got to look right, because at the end of the day, all these things that I paint on these videos that will end up building into a collection of hopefully hundreds of different tutorials, they are all at the end of the day commissions that people have paid for that will be sitting on someone's shelf, so they've got to look right. And that unfortunately means sometimes there are boring hours of painting of me just trying to get stuff right. So next time, a little bit more interesting hopefully. So I'm going to go. Take care, and I will see you next time. I was trying to think if I needed to say anything else. I don't. I'm going to go. Bye guys. See you next time.